Okay, I decided to get started on this today, and well, I felt like I should make some more leaves. I've got my weather patch in the middle here, and I love actually how this thread kind of can I think I'm going to leave that just like that. Perhaps maybe just stitch it down into the ground here, because I like how it continues the rain. I very often use these straggling ends as something. But you know, I went outside and picked up a few leaves here, and I thought, okay, I wanted to go back to something, really. You know, when you look at a leaf, well, you know, what makes it seem like a leaf is the question. And I think it has a lot to do with this vein that runs down the center, which is really very much like a seam, isn't it? At least that's what I was thinking. I think that's how I can tie it to cloth really easily. So a while back I did something that I called pairings, and that's when I started to sew two pieces of cloth together, just letting two scraps just pulled right out of the basket touching with a simple seam. And I started to think that this was really something that might be really nice for the leaves. So since I do this so often, and of course, you know, you can also just overlap them and sew them with an invisible stitch as well. They don't have to be seamed. But I really like some of these new ones in these fall colors, and how you get this thing down the middle, and then how you might be able to cut a leaf from that. I also found some cloth that actually had a color change, and I just kind of cut around that, leaving the line where the weave color changes in the middle. And I also found some old scraps of quilts which already have seams in them. So these are all, look, this still has the quilt ties in it as well. These are all candidates. There's that whole thing again. This is from my grandmother's quilt. And you know, the other thing I was thinking, of course, I cut some leaf motifs out as well, but I thought to myself how putting a seam in these things, and a seam is simply a fold, so at least it ends up that way. It could be just stitching something like that down as well. Actually, I like the back here because leaves are kind of like fading around here. So getting a seam in these things, there's another one, will also make them more realistically, you know, leaf-like. So today I'm creating pairings. I mean, this is sort of a pairing out of the same cloth when you put a seam into it, because I think these could be very interesting in sympathy with the seams themselves. So I think, you know, rather than the random arrangement, I'm going to go with something like this, using the pairing idea, making those into leaves, and figuring out a way to place them where they might be in sympathy with existing seams. So that's today's project. I really want to get started on this. And I think I will work with the 8 leaves and a patch of rain, which would make 9. And yeah. I also went ahead and pieced or began to piece a new base. I want to do lots of these. In this case, I was going to do a moon with rain over it or some kind of weather, but I thought, the weather patch can also be pieced directly in rather than just applied. There's many ways to approach that as well. So I'll have more than one base here and lots of different leaf pairings to work with. And the other thing about the pairings is they were originally made to honor seams. So I think I might put some kind of little 9 patch in there with stitch, I think. Because my original ones were actually done, if I can find one, I used different types of stitch. In this case it was a cross stitch with a little space in the middle just to honor the seam, but I think the idea of honoring the seam and using the 9 patch this time as my little motif might be an interesting approach as well. So lots of little ideas today. I'm going to go stitch some of these things down.